The left is absolutely losing it over CBS's decision to finally end its most brazen left-wing propaganda program. Over the last 10 years, Stephen Colbert has slowly corrupted and spoiled a show that was made famous by David Letterman. Late-night television used to be something that we could all enjoy, right? You could just sit down and watch it. You know you're going to get something good. They were going to make some fun of people and stuff like that, but it wasn't going to be propaganda that you hated. But since Trump's political ascension, it has become largely unwatchable late-night TV in this country. Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel, the CBS and ABC hosts, squandering audiences that took decades to build and turning late-night TV into left-wing political propaganda. It has been truly disgusting to watch as somebody that loved those late-night shows. And we all wondered how long these networks would allow such a blatant ideological agenda to take over its programming from these little high-paid nerds. But in truth, that agenda is everywhere on these big networks. From the Today Show through The View, all the way up through The Late Show, all the different networks. Our broadcast media in this country is not allowed to do this, but does little more than brainwash the masses to accept the left-wing deep state agenda, and Stephen Colbert was one of the worst.
Right after we heard that Joe had clinched the Electoral College, I sat down and just started crying with relief. Donald Trump is a fascist. The inauguration was a joyful occasion. Like I do at most happy things, I cried a lot. After a bizarre and vicious campaign fueled by a desperate need not to go to jail, Donald Trump has won the 2024 election. Well, as we all know, he's a sack of loose skin stuffed with greed. Trump's birthday parade may be canceled due to thunderstorms.
Little dweeb. Just a little dweeb. Colbert slowly turned a late-night comedy show into that. Didn't happen overnight. Took years and years and years. But he got to feeling himself and thought that he could just project what he believes onto the American people and that was okay. In fact, it's just arrogant. It's disgusting, just like him. His guests on his show were all left-wingers. I mean, you look at the guest lineup over the years, it's all people from the left. The most insufferable Democrat politicians were on his show constantly. Everything was political, especially in these most recent years, and it's finally ending. For financial reasons, the network claims, nah. Colbert making the announcement last night.
Before we start the show, I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of The Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away.
And rightly so. Recently, Colbert drooled over Zoran Mamdani on his set here in New York as a communist looking to take over New York City and destroy it. He couldn't have been happier. They look like old friends. Last night, when he announced his show's cancellation, Adam Schiff was his guest. A Democrat so vile, he was removed from his committees for lying about classified information he had seen. The Late Show is pure propaganda from a network, a broadcast network, which is technically federally regulated by the FCC. CBS is supposed to be politically in the middle. They're not supposed to pick a side here in this two-party system, as are ABC and NBC. In truth, all three of these networks should be shut down and forced to retool and return to the unbiased networks that they are mandated to be if they're going to be broadcast on our government airwaves. But Democrats are spinning this the other way, of course, claiming that the ending of Colbert's show is a sign that CBS is bending to Trump's fascism. Jimmy Kimmel saying F you to CBS today. Elizabeth Warren posting, CBS canceled Colbert's show just 3 days after Colbert called out CBS's parent company Paramount for its $16 million settlement with Trump, a deal that looks like bribery. Left-wing publication Mother Jones saying Colbert's cancellation is a dark warning. No. The existence of Colbert's show for the last 10 years was actually the darkness. The fact that our 3 broadcast networks have all become mouthpieces for one political party in a 2-party system is the darkness. That is terrifying, and we all know it's true. The deep state is full of communists, and so is the media. Washington would love nothing more than to turn this country socialist, because think about it. Think about how much more money and how much more control that swamp would have if we started moving towards a full control system. It's what they want.
Just raises so many red flags about what's going on here, especially given, as you point out, the recent track record of the capitulation, essentially paying what a lot of people think is as a bribe, a shakedown.
This looks to a lot of Colbert's fans like another form of capitulation by CBS to the President of the United States.
Canceling Colbert is an obvious move to appease Donald Trump. And I need to tell y'all something. If you don't think we are under a regime with an authoritarian strategy, then you are bugging. This is textbook authoritarian rule.
Yes, some decent takes sometimes. Other times he's really stupid. Charlemagne the God. In truth, it's completely the opposite. It's completely the opposite. The media, so many of our institutions, taken over by the left, the media, one of them, of course. They've taken over so much: education, higher learning, academia. They've taken over medicine. They've taken over almost everything in this country. What we're seeing right now is one part of this very, very toxic takeover, which is what the left does. It takes over, it consumes everything, and then it kills it. We're seeing one part of that takeover be at least fixed in the near term. The Democrats are half right about this. This wasn't about money. CBS didn't end this show because Colbert wasn't pulling enough ad revenue. Colbert rated better than Kimmel or Fallon, in fact, to his credit. But do you think the shrewd business people at the top of CBS, mostly all capitalists, want their late night show to be a broadcast version of the Young Turks podcast? Because that's what it had become. Something only the very politically charged left would even consider watching. Do you know anybody that watches Colbert that's not an MSNBC overdose freak? Do you know anybody that watches that show besides that faction of people? He created an audience. He only needed about 1 million or 2 million people to do it. That's not a lot of people in this country. He created an audience. That audience used to be 10 times that size. Back in the heyday of those shows? Do you think CBS wants that? Wants to be tethered to that? NBC is breaking up with MSNBC right now. All of these networks are realizing they've created this really ugly thing, and they want to get away from it. Trump's election and his fully justifiable CBS lawsuit for the 60 Minutes Kamala edit, which was ridiculous no matter what Scott Pelley says, gave Paramount the justification to finally end a very toxic program. It appears Sherry Redstone is trying to bring her broadcast network back to reality, back to the middle, back to something that every American can just watch. Because it's not that right now. You watch any day part on CBS, any of these networks, and you're just getting pumped with propaganda from the left. It pisses people off. Nobody wants to watch that. Who wants to have that as their network? When you think about what CBS, what NBC, what ABC started as, it's ugly. It's really ugly. This was an opportunity to say, let's fix this. Let's start with the worst thing we got, which at CBS was The Late Show. At ABC, it's probably The View. That needs to go too. These are horrible, horrible shows. And they said we got to get rid of them. And CBS has just removed, and Paramount has just removed, one of the most toxic TV hosts in the country who commandeered control of a late night show and turned it into a political indoctrination machine for mainstream Americans. That's what he wants, to turn every American into the same ideology, the same twisted ideology as him. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.